This just seemed so fitting that this Monday was the birthday of Miss Dorothy Height. And I was extremely touched, and I will say pleasantly surprised to see that she landed a Google Doodle. Does everyone know what that is?
I saw that.
Yeah.
And so this is quite an extraordinary accomplishment, and not one that they extend to everyone. So that's a testament to her incredible legacy. She would have been 102 on Monday. So it got me to thinking, do you have any recollections of Miss Height?
Oh, I do. Thank you for asking. There's a Chinese saying that it is the women who hold half the world up. But in the case of the civil rights movement, it was about 3/4 of the women in our community. And Dr. Height was one of those people. I met Dr. Height when I was about 17 years old. So naturally, Paula, that means that I'm a Delta, right? And I just made Delta Sigma Theta. Yeah. She learned my name that day, and to the day she passed on, she never forgot my name. She always greeted me by name. She was my neighbor. She was my friend. She was my soror. And whenever, even though we had two different organizations, hers the National Council of Negro Women and ours the National Congress of Black Women, I would go to the Rock, Dr. Height, for advice when I was having some challenges, and she always had great advice, and she would always remind me, as she did other women, that we Black women don't always do what we want to do, but we sure do what we have to do. And so every day that I go to work, I think about that. Maybe this is not something I want to do, but certainly it is something I have to do, and I'm inspired by that every day.
One of the things that strikes me about Dr. Height was really important. I talked somewhat about Black women's organizations, and she actually modernized the Black women's organization.
Talk about that.
Well, she came from the Y. She rose up in the YWCA, even as a member of the national board. And she began to understand in the mid and late 40s, very important of how to structure a Black women's organization to be effective. And she brought that to Delta Sigma Theta and later to the National Council of Negro Women, and did many important things, including opening it up to the world. The Deltas had their first international chapter under Dorothy Height in Haiti, where aid was given to Haiti and so on. And so that kind of contribution often doesn't get into the history books. And she was, she was very, she didn't complain very much. Didn't know as
she
well
graciously
as
sat on the stage that day.
She was very gracious, but she talks, only one time I've seen this, in a book called Gender Talk by Beverly Guy Sheftall and Janetta Cole, where she talks for the first time about how the men in the Big Six really shunned her and marginalized her.
Actually pushed her out of pictures, I'm told.
Pushed her out of pictures.
If she stood on the end, so she learned to come in the middle so that they couldn't easily crop her out of the pictures.
Right. One of the most interesting things I read about Dr. Height's contributions is that she helped initiate Wednesdays in Mississippi,
yes,
which I was not familiar with until I was reading up on her. And for those who don't know, and please stop and correct me if I'm explaining it incorrectly, but where she teamed up with other women from around the country of different races, and they would travel down to Mississippi, and it wasn't just to register voters, it wasn't just to protest, it was literally to reach out to women, the women of Mississippi, and to try to achieve cultural understanding on the issue of civil rights, which fascinates me to no end, because I'm a big believer that when it comes to activism, only so much of it is legislation, only so much of it is protest, a lot of it is just living your life.